Hey, Marcus, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, Shane. How are you?
I am doing great. Thanks for coming on, man.
My pleasure. Absolutely. Thanks for
How's every
having me.
Yeah, 100%. How's everything going?
Everything is going fairly well. Yeah, we're me and my wife and two kids. We live out here in just north of San Francisco, and
Love that
the
spot.
California situation has been, um, I don't know, different than some places. Not worse, not necessarily better, but just different. And um, but yeah, we're making the best of the situation, and our yeah, our family's healthy and everybody's happy right now.
Good. Yeah, that's good,
Mhm.
man. I'm in Chicago, and I think it's similar. I think you guys are under a little tighter, I feel like, restrictions than we are, maybe. I've noticed
I
too.
think so.
I don't know if it's a Chicago thing, but because it's cold, obviously now, a lot of the restaurants are supposed to be closed, and they're like not closing. They're just like
Yeah,
they're kind of like. I mean, I don't know what they're supposed to do. I mean, like some of those, like I would think like Chicago's the New York. Some of those like in the winter, unless they have some sort of creative way to have outdoor dining that's not freezing cold. I don't know how those businesses survive.
I know it's it's really interesting seeing just like what everybody was anticipating to happen because of the climate just changing, or like just sort of the temperature and the weather's changing in the winter. Um, it's all coming to light. It's just seeing like your decision making process when it was nice outside and sunny and you could just socially distance and go to parks, and it's like, okay, I'm totally on board, like let's,
Right.
we're in this together. And then it's like it's cold, it's wet, I don't want to go outside, screw these regulations, I'm going to do it this way. And
Right.
I'm not, it's not, I don't know, no, I don't have judgment for anybody. I I've tried to maintain a position throughout this whole thing of like, I can't really be in any, I'm not in anybody else's shoes. I'm just in my own. I
Yeah.
have my
Right.
own challenges, and we are doing well in certain ways that other people are not. So, you know, it's really hard to see the world through someone else's eyes in this pandemic, and just the current culture of our country and everything. It's
I
just
know.
difficult.
It is. It's crazy. It's really a crazy time. I know me and my wife last night were talking about how interesting it'll be once enough. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to regulations and like even things like masks once there's enough people vaccinated. Like, I wonder what
Yeah.
that world will look like. Where like, because I don't know if you have you ever seen any of those movies where like they have similar concepts of what's going on, and then you have people who are like wearing bands or something that shows that they're vaccinated. It'll be
Right.
interesting to see, what I mean, what the next stage looks like.
Yeah.
More or
Yeah.
less,
I mean, I'd proudly wear a band if I was vaccinated, just to let like, just to let people know,
right.
like, hey, you don't have to be afraid of me or something like that.
Yeah,
But at the
exactly.
same time, it's like, that's where does that take us as a society? And I don't know. It's just it's so polarized in so many ways right now in terms of political and, yeah, political issues that are going on, that unfortunately a public health concern has become tied up and wrapped up in politics, which I don't know that it necessarily will ever be separated.
Yeah, sure.
That goes back beyond just this pandemic for sure. But
Right.
it's just, you know I have not really experienced in my lifetime something, or a sequence of events, or global events that have made me so acutely aware of the position that people take on issues that are super sensitive.
Yeah.
Right? Like when there's like, I haven't, I mean, granted, there was like the Iraq and the Afghanistan wars, those, but I don't know, that was now a number of years ago, when I
Yeah.
wasn't, I don't know, I guess I wasn't as engaged. I didn't have as much at stake. And, with like being kind of a father now, a family, and running a business, like just being a bit more aware and in tune with what's happening. I'm just seeing how this is playing out for a number of different people. And in my circles, my close circles, my kind of extended circles, the people I'm sort of acquaintances with. Of course, social media makes us like, we just see into everybody's life, like what
Right.
they're doing and how they're choosing to. It's really remarkable, and it's sad to me because I used to be able to judge somebody on, not judge somebody, but like get to know somebody on sort of the interactions that I had with them. And
Right.
like, hey, we're here in this moment. How do you impact my life? How do I impact your life? What kind of energy do we create between us? I value you for those reasons. And then now I'm seeing this whole other like insight into people's lives where I'm like,
Right.
oh, whoa, like, I don't know how I feel about you and how you reacted to that election result or that, you know, CDC recommendation, or the way you're conducting yourself out there, what you said about so-and-so, or how you responded to BLM and, the summer events that were happening, the protests, it's like, oh gosh, this is all too much. I got to turn it off so I
I
don't,
know.
I get back to just creating relationships with people based upon how they interact with me.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a really good point. I know. I feel like maybe it's also driven just so much by the I don't know, we're just so wrapped up in social media now more than ever. It's just like depending on what you're, especially if
Definitely.
you're someone, who has a following, it seems like almost like I feel like the people I know who have decent followings feel a lot of pressure too when like big things are happening. Like, what stance am I taking? How do
Mm-hmm.
I, you can't just ignore it sometimes. You know what I mean? And just keep doing your normal
Yeah.
thing. It's difficult. It's tough.
I have a morning routine of like answering direct messages on Instagram, just to sort
Nice.
of, yeah, getting back to people. And, I usually just scroll like chronologically. And then every once in a while I'll hit the button that like lets me pull up every unread messages. I try and like zero out everything.
Okay. Yeah, I'm
I'm
the
a
same
zero out
way.
the inbox kind of guy.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, like some days it'll go back like 20 weeks or something like that. And it'll find some that I missed,
Oh,
which,
interesting.
yeah, like in just 2 days ago, for whatever reason, when I clicked the unread, it went back to, I don't know, 30 weeks ago, 25, whatever the number of weeks ago was, where there was a whole section of messages that I hadn't responded to. And it was the week, it was like the really most powerful week around the George Floyd, murder
Oh, wow.
protests,
Yeah.
and I was remembering, because it was all these messages to me as a social influencer about
Right.
my particular response and reaction to what was happening.
Oh, wow.
And it was just, it brought, I mean, I kind of went through it.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
just mentioned it, but
Right.
it was just a reminder. It was like just a couple of days ago I saw these messages like, oh my gosh, like there were a lot of people that were very upset with me, or very they were like more than encouraging me, but like sort of demanding that I take a stance and I say something and I use my platform for a particular purpose, a particular reason. Um, and I just remember it being like a very uh, kind of confusing time, because I'm over
Yeah.
here like juggling a pandemic and being at home and being a stay-at-home dad and running a business and feeling like there's a lot happening in my own life, and then recognizing that there's something really big happening nationally that I'm not super informed on, but I need to get informed on, and I need to stay connected to what's happening so that I can you know potentially speak to an audience from
Sure.
from
Yeah.
like a position of influence, because I exercise and I teach people about exercise.
Yeah.
It's
Isn't that
just
crazy? How like you
totally
even think
crazy.
back like 10, 15 years ago, that wasn't even a thing,
No,
really. Not
no,
to the scale it
yeah,
is today, right? And I mean, not
not
people
even
who were,
close.
if you were doing what you were doing now 10 years ago, 15 years ago,
I
you
mean,
know,
10, 15 years ago, I was on Facebook, you know, hoping that the girl would poke me back on freaking
right.
Facebook.
You're right. Oh yeah, that's right. It's
In
so funny.
college,
True. Right.
the
MySpace, your top
poke,
10,
the poke and the super poke was like, whoa, she
right?
just super poked me back.
I
I
forgot
am
about that.
definitely going to say hi to her in the dining hall.
That is so funny. That's so true. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how much things have just, I mean, it feels like, to me it feels like we're like on warp speed. Like just it's everything's just progressing so fast.
I mean, when I read, well, the social dilemma, that Netflix documentary or
Yeah, that was a
movie
crazy. I
was,
watched that.
and then I was listening to they mentioned this fact in the movie, or they talked about this trend, as well as I was reading Tools of Titans, and there was some author
Just
that
finished
was
that
talking.
too. That's funny.
Oh yeah, there was
Yeah.
somebody that was one of the chapters was just talking about the rate of change of you know computer processors and the
Yeah.
speed by which like these processors and their capacity to do computations is doubling every so often, which is, and in the social dilemma they were talking about, like, human brain capacity and like our ability to process thoughts, and like the speed at which that increases versus like the AI, like the technology behind a lot of these applications, and how it's just doubling at speeds that are, we'll never be able to keep up with as a human species in terms of our intellectual development. So we're
Right.
just getting like steamrolled by technology, is getting so smart and is so capable of doing more than we could have ever thought in such a short amount of time. And it's like, that's a perfect point. It's like 10 years ago social media versus 10, versus today. It's
Yeah.
like in 10 years, like, it's, I mean, I really can't comprehend, and I can't wrap my brain around what that's going to look like. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
are you going to have any choice in anything?
I
I
know.
don't even know.
Yeah, it's a
I
good
don't
question,
know.
right? You don't know. And it's crazy. Like, I mean, I just think too, anyone who like puts things out, there's almost like pressure to get it on everything as well. So like
Yeah.
not only are you posting something on Instagram, but a lot of people then are, posting similar content or just generally content every day on, when TikTok comes out and it becomes somewhat popular, then people want to get on TikTok. So then it's like we're just like
Sure.
growing across platforms too. And yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy, man. It's crazy. And it's crazy. That movie was really eye-opening to me because I've always thought about how it seems like if you talk to someone on either side or the middle, whoever you're like talking to, sometimes you feel like there's like different realities of like what they believe
Yes.
and what they see. But that
Right.
movie validated that like depending on what
Totally.
you're into, it's like you kind of you get shown things that
Yeah.
complete your thought and like what what you interact with, which is kind of crazy. Because
It
then you could
is.
be
It is.
someone
And
who,
it,
if
and it
you're
was,
just
it
down
was,
that rabbit hole, that's like what you believe is the truth, and then it's all you see, and it's crazy.
well, it certainly, I think that part of the film helped me to have a bit more compassion for people that were really like outside what I see as outside of my, you know, value system or core beliefs or views. Because I was like,
Right.
well,
Yeah.
they're, you ask the question, like, how could somebody think that? That's just nuts. Like
Yeah.
you're insane. And they're over there thinking the same thing about me or
Yeah.
you.
Right.
It's like, it's
Yeah.
because you're curating your own news feed through what you know, basically say you enjoy or like seeing by hitting a button or just staying and watching a video for 3 seconds versus 1 second.
Right.
It's like
It's
you didn't,
crazy.
yeah, it's really powerful stuff. But and then it also helped me to take a look at how I'm, I mean, we don't have control over this. We can't hack the system like this. The computers are smarter than us, I believe. I mean, maybe we can bring some awareness to how we're engaging with it, but it's helped me to sort of, look at some of the things that I'm doing and like sort of try and work against the system by,
Yeah.
when there's videos that get curated for me on YouTube, I like scroll past them all and I get deeper into stuff that I haven't been clicking on, right? Because I know
Yeah.
that there's a reason why there's 4 story feeds at the top of my Instagram page that are always there. They're the ones I click on, and then I click on it again, and it just keeps putting those people up in front of me. And I'm like, I haven't seen so and so in a while. I want to get a different perspective. Let me follow some new accounts. Let me, unfollow these accounts, not because I don't like them, just because I need to be refreshed on something
Yeah.
new. And I mean, I know I fall victim to sort of following and watching the same stuff, but as somebody who's into creating content for others, that I truly believe, it's like I want this to reach my like a broader audience so I can impact them. You
Right.
know, I need to be careful about how I'm looking at, the content that's out there so I can learn and grow and get better. If I'm seeing the same 3 people all the time, I'm not doing the best job I can to reach more people myself.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. 100%. Yeah. I try to do a lot better job of, I'm definitely not good at it by any means, but trying to just not get into the habit of scrolling as much as I used to, just like putting it
Hmm.
away and being present.
Yeah.
I noticed just too many times where I'm at, not as much anymore, right? Because we're not out doing as many things, but just the, sitting with people and all of a sudden you see people on their phones scrolling. I'm like, what are we doing? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like I haven't seen
Right.
you guys in a while. And we're together and we're all on our phones looking at different social media platforms instead of talking. So that's tough.
Yeah.
It's like a true addiction. It's crazy. I have a feeling in the future that'll be something we talk about, is just like, it's just like any other thing that people are addicted to.
Yeah.
You know, their phones are definitely another one.
Yeah. And, it took it, I guess the difference being like, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe it won't be any different. Government will start to regulate things, and, you know, social media will become a scheduled substance. Right? It's like
Yeah, no
you
joke,
have to
right?
like how do you make sure that people are not consuming too much, and that there's somebody that can control how it gets out to you. It's who knows what's going to happen, but
It's
it's
crazy.
it's definitely problematic for us. Like, I think we're probably right around the same age, but it's like we're sort of one generation that's maybe finished their academic time in a social media age. Like, I know I
Yeah.
was wrapping up college when Facebook was really just getting going.
Yeah.
But my kids, and even just like the kids that kind of were middle schoolers when Facebook first launched, now they hit, high school and college at like the peak of Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
How is that impacting, the development of our next generations? I mean,
Yeah.
my kids they already know that, like, not social media, but they get the iPad, they get
Yeah.
that there's a phone there, they get that mom and dad look at it, a lot.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's that part is definitely going to present some major obstacles to, you know human development, I
Yeah.
think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. 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 You're gonna know it before I will. I don't have kids yet, so you definitely are right. It's gonna be a whole new thing. It's crazy, man.